Welcome to Figure Skating Land. This is your host, Jilly. Today I'm going to be talking about the highlights from the Canadian Figure Skating Nationals 2025. Here are your winners for the men's event. So as we all know, there's been some retirement and then there was a pandemic that really made it to where men's Canadian figure skating has not been as strong as it has been in the past, probably since honestly Patrick Chen. Yes, Keegan was awesome, and I think he medaled at 4 continents, but I don't think he was still at a place to where we could see him like on the world stage getting a medal. A highlight for me for the men's event is Roman Sadowski's kind of comeback story. He last got the gold in 2020 for Canadian Nationals and just got it this year in 2025. He has had a rough couple of years when it comes to either getting injured or not being able to take what he does in practice and transfer it to actual competitions. And so he really proved a lot of us wrong. And I do feel bad. I personally, of course, haven't said anything mean about him, but he has talked about how he's read a lot of the criticism about him online. And I do think it's huge that despite, hearing this criticism, he was able to pull through and put on 2 extremely strong performances. So for the short program, he had such an ease and calmness that I have not seen in a long time. And he had, of course, for his free program, but I think that's something I was really looking for in a short program because I hadn't seen him skate in a while. And when he opened up with that quad cow and there was no fall, I immediately had just this relief, which I feel like I haven't had in a bit since I watched him skate. And another thing that really freaking made me proud was when he was able to fully rotate the triple axel, but he did have a fall, but he fully rotated it, and that is huge. And then for his free program, he came out so calm. And I know he made a comment, I think it was in the Kiss and Cry, about how he kind of just turned off his brain. And whatever he did really worked because he did not have any pops that we have traditionally seen. He was able to continue to skate and kind of have a comeback for when he fell on the quad cow. Like, it was a new Roman that we haven't seen in a bit, and I was just really happy. And I always, try to turn that psychologist part of me off when I'm talking about figure skating, because in reality, you have to be careful not to either pathologize things that we're not quite aware of when it comes to a person. But what I must say, just him talking about turning that part of his brain off lets me know that either he's been working with someone on this or working with himself on how to handle the pressure of a competition. And so kudos to him. And I'm just so excited to see the Roman that, a lot of us kind of grew to love and light candles for all these years. And another major highlight from the men's event was Anthony Paradis. I absolutely adore this kid. Oh my God, I need Skate Canada to really push him, make it to where we see him more, because this kid is awesome. First, he is someone that can handle a lot of pressure. So he tried, I think it was in the free program, his triple axel, or he was thinking about it, popped. And I thought, oh no, how's the rest of the program going to go? But he kept the program going. And in both his short and his free program, he really puts on a show and puts on unique, and I think someone on Blue Sky said theater kid energy, 100%. Like, he has a huge following, and I think Skate Canada could totally, take advantage of that. One thing I loved was for his short program, he came out there with such an attack, and yes, he didn't have any quads, and I think in the short program he didn't do, even attempt a triple axel, but he still got the crowd going, got all of us online cheering. Absolutely adored his kid.
And bitch, we made it. We slayed the heck out of that short program, bitch.
I mean, where else can you see a skater this theatrical? He's somebody, we just need to elevate him, get him out there more. And for his free program, like I was saying earlier, he had that mistake and just kept going. But again, very much tied to his art. Like, he the whole time has expressions, is really just overall awesome. I honestly feel like he is someone that could get younger generations to be interested in figure skating, because a lot of times they may see it as stuffy, but here you got this kid out there. I say kid, and I think he's like adult age now, but whatever. You got this kid out there just being epic and himself. He's unapologetically himself, and I freaking love that. And I also love that the judges reward him for being himself. I just think, let's push him out there. Let's get him out there. Just imagine like a fluff piece about him. Like it could go far. And I absolutely loved his reaction to the silver medal. That was awesome. And it was like a home nationals for him. I think he only lives like 15 minutes away. So this was epic. David Lee won the bronze here, and that was my first time seeing him skate. So kudos to him for holding it together and being able to perform when there was likely some nerves. I think this is also his first national medal. Overall, the state of Canadian men's figure skating is peculiar to me because I'm not quite sure why they're a little bit behind when it comes to learning quads or other Ultra C elements like triple axels. Roman, of course, was able to land the quad, and there was also the other skater, John Kim, who landed quads, and unfortunately, the rest of his program unfortunately fell apart. But other than that, there wasn't the same kind of quality that you see from other countries, and I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if it's to do with like a lot of lost training time from the pandemic. I know that Canada had things closed down a little bit longer. I don't know if it is anything to do with coaching. I don't quite know how the coaching could be different there, especially when you have like the cricket club, which is a very strong coaching team. So I'm kind of at a loss of why it's different. So if anybody has any insight, please let me know, because I'm just, curious and just wondering kind of what we can expect on the trajectory for Canadian figure skating, especially when, Ted closed up the nationals event by talking about how there's not a lot of sponsors and they're unable to get their nationals on TV. And I'm just thinking, when you think about how America has Ilya and at least other skaters who can do some quads, not all of our men can do quads, of course, there is a little bit of a vast difference when you compare Canadian figure skating to others. And so I'm just kind of thinking about how they can drum up excitement with kind of the state of way things are. And I know that Megan Duhamel has talked in the past about how they need to be competing more, and that might also be something that help them out. But I'm also curious kind of how they can get to a state where they might be learning kind of the more difficult jumps. Here are your pair podium placements. The pair situation was fascinating to me. So Deanna and Max, of course, won the gold, and they were awesome. But I couldn't watch their short program at first because the feed went down for me for whatever reason. The Daily Motion really does not like me. It was something I had to keep refreshing, and eventually my husband got on our TV. But before then, I was sitting there trying to stream it from my phone to the TV, and it was just like, no, I'm not having it. So the feed went down, and then I turned it on just in time to see Deanna looking just devastated in the kiss and cry. And I thought, oh my God, our girl did terrible. This must have been a bad outing. And then luckily an Unsung Hero sent me a link and I could VPN. This was before I could watch it easily, because you can go back and watch the streams, but it wasn't up yet. But anyway, and I was able to watch it, and I was like, oh my gosh, they really didn't do that bad. Like, they got through most of the elements, and then after the throw, she had somewhat of a step out. It wasn't that bad, I felt like. And in fact, it was probably the most into this song I've been. I do wish they had something to like speed it up. I totally get picking Beyonce when it comes to an American Nationals, but I wish there was more of an oomph to it. But regardless, like, I felt like your short program wasn't that bad. Now, their free program did have a lot more mistakes, but I don't feel like we need to sound the alarm, doom and gloom, because they were out for, I think they lost 2 weeks of training. Max lost weight. They are just not at their best right now, and they still did fine. And it turns out also, it sounds like their run-throughs have been fine. So really them needing to figure out like why it doesn't translate to competition. One thing that did worry me, not so much the competition, but she just didn't seem like herself when it came to the medal ceremony. And I'm not talking about, how she usually, like right here, you can see she's disappointed by their performance, even though they got the gold. I'm talking about like, she just looked overall uncomfortable. She seemed cold. There's at one point where I'm like, oh my gosh, is she like avoiding skating on one of her legs? So hopefully there's nothing going on. And this was just kind of a fluke. But regardless, I still think they have a chance at getting a world medal again. I don't know if it's going to be gold, but I do think they have a shot. Now, hopefully, they have some really awesome programs for the Olympic season. And it does sound like that they already have like all their programs way in advance figured out, which is so on brand. And regardless, I'm not too worried about them because they lost so much training time. And even in an interview, Deanna had said that, this was just like them almost having to restart the season. And that's kind of what it feels like when somebody goes back out after a long break and skates again. Leah and Trent also had a standout performance. They looked really good, actually. I'm thinking about, third place winners were awesome also, but in kind of a comparison, when you see the fluidity of them, like even if they make a mistake, they just have this softness. They're just really awesome. And I'm glad I get to see more of them lately. Some of these teams, like the Canadian teams, you just don't see a whole lot of them. And the third place winners Kelly, Ann, and Lucas were also really great. But one of my favorite things, though, was her reactions after each of their skates. Loved it. And they're another one that I hope to see more of. I know I saw them at Worlds, but it felt like this was a redemption compared to the past skates. So overall, kudos to the pairs teams. And here are the women podium placements. First place, Maddie Skizas. Oh my gosh. This is like a different girl. This is like the girl we saw at the Olympics in 2022. She had such a confidence, had such an attack that we haven't seen in quite a bit. Like this was a redemption times 20 million. Short program, I feel like The Lion King is such a strong performance for her, like such a strong song for her. She needs to probably, carry this over to the Olympics. Like she performs it wonderfully. Like for someone who didn't see The Lion King, maybe still has it, you wouldn't know. You'd think she was watching The Lion King and ready to fight the lion that threw the other lion over the fang. Anyway, she was awesome. And there were no mistakes. And I remember there were no mistakes. Like, initially was bracing myself. Nope, she did amazing. And then for her free skate, I cannot believe this. So she had only practiced her free skate, I think about 3 days because it was a brand new program for her. Rob and Brody on Substack mentioned that she had talked about how her prior free program, just the timing wasn't right for her. And you would have never honestly known that she didn't have this program fully together. Well, it sounds like it's fully together, but that she hadn't had all the time in the world to practice it. You could tell she really likes this program and it is a good suit for her. Like it has this combination of softness, but also like there's just something about when there's a powerful song or some kind of power that she does so great on. So I am so happy for her. Definitely wasn't a waste for her this year, like she said last year was. Sarah Maud Dupree skated 2 phenomenal programs. And my favorite was her free program because she was a fighter during it and she did amazing. And I don't even care that there was like a pop in it or something. My favorite is just like when she gets to her step sequence, you can just see the joy, but also kind of continued musicality in her face. It was awesome. And I loved her reaction to her score. And then in third place, we had Catherine Spence, who I don't know if she knows this, but like if this performance was like recorded and uploaded and put like on Facebook for us West Virginians to see, I almost thought about doing it, but I was afraid of getting like a copyright strike. We would be crying tears of joy over biscuits and gravy because she skated her short program to Country Roads. Yeah, it was an instrumental version, which I don't think I've heard, but still, it really brought out the mountain mama in me. And I really feel like, honestly, like it would be a big hit. And so she's probably never been to West Virginia. She can come here, eat a Tudor's biscuit so she can feel the program more. Not that she didn't feel it wonderfully in the first place, but I'm just saying like, just add a West Virginia flair to it. But anyway, overall, this was so successful for her, both her free program and short program. Loved her reaction. Loved her getting her scores in the Kiss and Kai with a giant hot dog. That was cool. Also, I want to give a shout out to Kaya Rutler. She went from 8th to eighth to fourth place overall. And she seems to be doing really well with her new coaching team. Like, they have really put a refinement to her that I haven't seen. She's starting to look more like a senior lady skating. It is really cool to see. Yeah, she had some mistakes, but she just has way more, like, her toes pointing, just everything. And her free program really suits her. Also, I said this on Blue Skies. I apologize that I'm repeating it, but man, what I love for Tracy Wilson to just appear out of nowhere if I make a mistake. She just seems so warm and genuine. And I've heard her give, constructive feedback to skaters, but while also just being so just gentle and soft. And I remember at U.S. Nationals, I still not worry, but I still feel bad about this. Like, Jason was finished with the warm-up. I've told the story before probably. And he was where fans could get him. And unfortunately, a bunch of us, myself included, just lost our social skills, even though he was tired and exhausted. It's like, Jason went and got like selfies or gave gifts. And she very politely, but also very assertively was like, it's time for Jason to go. We just all need a Tracy Wilson, like a splash of her to just appear out. She can be like our Jiminy Cricket. She's delightful. And last, here are your ice dance winners. It is no surprise here at Piper and Paul. We're in first place with such very high scores. You can see even they were surprised for their rhythm dance and excited about their free program one. They skated very well. And I think also like the free program is growing on me. Maybe the new costumes, but I also read someone say online the costumes look better in person. But anyway, there were a couple of times that I can't quite explain it because I'm not an ice dance expert, and I'll be very open and honest about that. There were a couple of times where I'm like, where maybe there was a little bit of like awkwardness of her leg when it came to like some lips, but it really wasn't even glaring. And that's just me like trying to think of something that maybe could be improved on. But overall, they did amazing. And I really also love when they're rhythm dance. There's this part, and I don't know if they've been doing it all season, but there's this part where like she just jumps into his arms. And if they have been doing it, I think the angle that it was filmed that helped us see it. She just jumps, and that is kind of the part of the end towards our lift. That was pretty cool. But also must shout out Lala. I really, I'm not the biggest fan of their programs this year. The Austin Powers, I'm just like, but I think it's because I was around. I said it was like alive during that time. I was around during the Austin Powers time where it was just such an annoying thing that like people in my school would be like, anyway. But I also don't really like their free dance music, but I'm able to look past the song and just kind of see how powerful they are. I absolutely adore their free dance, even though I don't like the cover. Adore it. It is so powerful. And I think if we got them, I say we, like I'm involved. If they got different programs, it might just elevate them a bit. But I also know that they're probably not going to be honest, get to be in the top teams until after there's some retirements. Just kind of how the ice dance world just shakes about. Before I wrap up, before I wrap up, did y'all enjoy Ted's country accent? It was after the Western program. That was hilarious. And it was a little bit spot on and it made me think, But anyway, before I wrap it up, I want to first address problem of stolen art, not mine. There is an account, and I'm going to probably butcher it, but it looks like it's G Nelson Art. And I'll definitely link it in my comments. And unfortunately, this is an artist who puts their just heart and soul into their oil paintings, and they're constantly posting like the process behind it. But unfortunately, there is an individual who has stolen their artwork, and Instagram hasn't done anything about it. And even though I think they took it down from Instagram, it's still in their shop. And so if you see paintings from this individual, I think they're like figure skating in kind of random. Anyways, that if you see these paintings of skaters in their shop, do not buy it from them. They're stealing artwork. There is enough proof online that the other artist is the true artist behind them. And If you guys want more reasons to love Amber Glenn, the artist had sent out a whole bunch of kind of pleas to the community with large platforms to discuss this. And Amber Glenn actually came in clutch and made a video. And she made a story that was basically like, not cool. And that made me heart her even more because that's awesome because she took the time out of her day to do that for someone. And so really just be thinking about whenever you see this art and also other art, to be honest, because there's just such a big problem online with people stealing copyrighted material, like copyrighted art. And I know like my husband has to deal with a lot because his side gig is making t-shirts and not everyone can, afford to start a lawsuit for it. So support the local artists or the smaller business artists. And I will definitely link G. Nelson in my comments. And let me tell you, they are definitely very dedicated. I am always like looking at their stuff going, I'm going to have my, send this to my husband, like, here is a present that I can have in the future. And also before I wrap up, I will be at US Nationals this week. Oh my gosh, let's hope I don't get snowed into not getting to go. I am a little worried because I'll be landing way before I'm able to check into my hotel. And I really want to watch some practice sessions, which we're allowed to watch the practice sessions in the main rink, not the practice rink. And it looks like there will be some in the main rink. So I'm really trying to navigate how I can watch that when they're not going to let a suitcase in. So that's been stressing me out. But if you see me, say hello and just know that sometimes I'm deep in my thought. So if I look angry, I'm not angry. Sometimes I really am just in my own little world, just like, hello, figure skating land. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys. Hope to see some of y'all this week.